Hi, Arend. Welcome. Welcome
Hi.
to Talking Insights, and welcome to Congress 2023, back in the hometown of Amsterdam. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Weather
Yeah.
is good, so that's a good thing to be
Yes,
down here. It's nice and cool in here, so that's lovely.
absolutely. And as we discussed before, it's quite a grand room with it's a beautiful contrast to the conversation we'll be going to have on ag tech.
Yeah,
So, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and where ag tech comes into play?
yeah. So I'm Arend Koekkoek. My father was a biology teacher. He wanted to be a farmer in the last century because he came from a line of people in farming. But his father said, "Well, son, don't go there because there will be trouble in that sector. So do something else." So that's why he became a biology teacher. While while he was studying, he found out what chemicals do to the environment. So I'm talking now in the early 70s of last century. And he was really terrified about that and said, "Well, we need to do something." So he set up an environmental group back then. So this is really the era that I grew up in. So that's lovely to see in this type of room that things have a line in history. So I grew up in a relatively green environmentalist thing, but my mother is a math teacher. And then Steve Jobs came along with the computers. And as I was a kid of 10, 11 years old, I loved that technology. So I went into electronics and digital stuff, set up my own companies, and basically forgot about farming. But later on, and I'm talking now in the 2010, something like that, my father was older, and he was really frustrated on that we were able to send a Tesla to Mars and to grow food on Mars, and we're really investing on that sort of things. While on the Earth, we were doing a very bad job, and it was actually getting worse and worse and worse, even though there was progress. So we were talking on the Sundays, and always in the morning saying, well, where he said, "Why don't you do something about it? You're an entrepreneur. You know what you do. You have all this tech stuff, and your generation sucks on doing this. So do something." And I was tired of these discussions with him, and so I said, "Well, we're gonna do something." And I have 3 daughters. I thought, well, I have to do something for them. So in the end, I decided to talk to all kinds of industries to see why they didn't come up with solutions, because ag tech is such, or ag in general, is such a big sector. It's very important for our living. So it's when we're thinking health, it's one thing, but when you're thinking food, it's way more important for you. So and I was talking to all these big companies, and they were all doing great things. You know, all the people that worked there were really into saving the world and do great projects, but not making progress. And that to me said, well, I'm not smarter than them. So how do you get ahead? So I decided to buy a farm and set up an innovation center and put my data company in that farm and said, well, let's grow food. End of briefing. So everybody went to the computer, and I said, well, the food is growing outside. It's not growing on your computer screen. So how do you get the plants to grow there? So then we said, well, let's find a way to do that. And then we started to build a robot really to take care of the plants and to grow the food, which they programmed. And they started to use AI to predict the growth of the food, to predict what plants to combine. And then things came up like biodiversity. So if you combine plants using AI, you can get a better food quality, you can get better things, you can get you don't need any chemicals actually. And we had some research done by the Wageningen University, and that showed that you can have 50% more yield per hectare in kilograms when you work with nature instead of against. So instead of using chemicals to suppress nature, you can use other plants to stimulate micro ecosystems. Now, AI happens to be very good at this type of things. So what I found is that it is possible to replace chemicals with AI in producing our food. So that's what I ended up in basically creating robots for
So,
farming.
so with that, because obviously less chemicals, that's good.
Yeah.
It's good for us. It's good for the environment, and it helps make make the pastures much more sustainable. So I'm guessing the quality of the food itself is going to be much higher.
Yeah, in the long run, for sure, because the content of food is not just measurable basic nutrients we know of, which are on your packages. There's a lot of other things in the soil we don't know about. Yeah, we're getting a little bit of a glimpse of what you can do in terms of types of species. And when you think about that, the normal vegetable setup that you eat, I don't know if you know how much types you eat.
Sort of, hopefully enough.
Yeah,
I'm getting my 5 a day, and I'm sure
exactly.
you of that.
But it's like what we found out is you eat roughly 120 types of vegetables, just vegetables, each year as average consumer. So there needs to be 120 species at least in the vegetable scene. Now, if you look at that and you count in the Netherlands alone, there's roughly 1,500 types of plants that you eat on top of the soil. Now, in the soil, there's a factor 5 more. So when you think about biodiversity in a sustainable food system, you have to take care of the soil and what you get from these foods. And for example, when you have a carrot, you take some of the nutrients actually, or the positive creatures from the soil. You'll eat that, and that keeps you healthy. So there's research going on right now, which says that for the next generations of medicine that we need, we don't need to go to the rainforest. We can actually harvest that from the soils in our own cities. Now, why is that important? Because we cut down the rainforest, and even though and we are that type of creatures that we cannot help ourselves but do that. Now, if that's the case, and I want to survive, then we need this type of technology to basically not just find the food, but also find the medicine.
Absolutely.
That's my, well, you can, I think you can feel it a little bit. That's a little bit of my drive to do this.
Very passionate.
Absolutely.
So now let's get into the cool bits, the robots.
Yeah.
Can you briefly describe what do they do? How do they do it? Without getting too technical.
Roughly what we did, we made a robot that you can instruct like you instruct a child. Basically what it does is it scans where it is using cameras and all sorts of sensors, and then it has AI to decide what action to take. So it has 10 arms instead of you have 10 arms, and each arm can provide a certain action. So that's roughly the robot we made. It replaces 5 people. So instead of 5 workers, which you cannot find, you have 1 robot to do the work for you. That's roughly what we make.
Okay.
A relatively simple thing: replace a tractor and replace a wheat bed.
So with that, when you're talking about replacement, I mean technological unemployment comes into play. And how would you assure the listeners that you're not just out here taking people's jobs and away from farming? Are you helping the farming industry in the Netherlands at the very least?
Yeah, well, I think when you're talking fair social deals, I don't think the work labor that you have on the field is fair social work. It's all low paid jobs. It's nearly slavery. So we don't have it. So I'm very happy that we don't have European people wanting to do this. We need to have robots doing it. If we're talking Audi or talking BMW building cars, there's no workers assembling these things. It's all done using robotics, and we find it very logical. There's nobody complaining about that workforce. So I think we need to liberate farming in the same way. It's a way more important industry than the car industry.
Absolutely. And it would make it much more efficient. We can have more food. We would be able to feed more people. And it's not a worry that would be having to go through with so much climate change, I'm guessing, as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. What you can do is you can print an ecosystem. We do it like that. What you can do with this type of technology is take care of each plant individually, which is normally with the old technology, with the mechanization that we have in the Industrial Revolution. We were able to take care of a big crop, a big field, which is very lovely. But right now, with tech we have right now, we can take care of each plant individual and basically create micro ecosystems with plants that contribute to one another, and they're able, for example, to hold water when there's heavy rain, hold it in the root system, and giving it releasing it slowly to the crop that you need.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and no fantasy, real life right now. We have the tech, we have the plants, we still have the biodiversity.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people, I don't know, for me it was the first time last year to hear it from somebody from the UK actually, is that, well, we only have 60 harvests left in the world. So if you think climate change is an issue, I'd worry about harvest.
So we really used up the soil.
We've used up soil. Look into the Dust Bowl in America, the Great Plains. They weren't there. They were man-created. So if you think about what we can do as a human destroyers, we're able to do a lot of bad things, and we're doing it right now, and we cannot help ourselves. We need to take this type of technology and bring it to the market as soon as possible to help farmers to build companies that are profitable, that are integrated in society to prevent that I think catastrophe.
So how would you say, what would you say would be the scalability of this?
Massive. You can do this. But if you think about the timelines, the way we do it, we try to set up a company that can produce 1,000 robots within 4 years roughly. That's only 1,000. So I'm really hoping for other competitors, and fortunately they're out there who can join us and build the other 100,000 we need. If you think about tractors in the EU alone, there are 220,000 tractors sold last year just on that time. So if you think about the scale of machinery that we need, it's massive. And the tech is early stage. So if you think what we do right now, it's we can roll out. We have projects running now with customers, farmers basically, who set up their livelihood using this type of machines. But we need to speed that up big time.
It's heartening to hear an entrepreneur asking for competition. It's I think it's a good, healthy. It's a healthy sign that obviously not only are you passionate about what you're doing, but it's really, we are in need of this, and it's something that we should be talking more about it. Thank you for coming on. I'll be seeing your presentation later on. This is why I love doing these podcasts, because this is also an opportunity for me to learn so much and share with you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Good luck with it, and hope to see and hear more of you in the news when you're coming to save the world and helping me have breakfast.
Let's try that. Right, see you in a bit.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.